When life gets heavy, when emotions feel like waves crashing and no one seems to understand what you're going through, remember this: you're not broken, you're just coping. And there's a pattern to how you cope, one that's ancient, wired into your emotional DNA, and hidden in your moon sign. Sometimes it saves you, sometimes it can sabotage you, but always it's trying to help you survive. So today I'll take you through a story, actually 12 of them, one for each moon sign, stories of overwhelm, breakdown, and recovery. And beyond your moon sign, there are two key planetary forces: one that causes your emotional collapse, and one that becomes your lifeline. Let's begin. Let's begin with Aries. For Aries, the warrior moon, always alert, always on the edge. You're standing in the kitchen, the mess is piling up, people are texting, expectations are swirling, and suddenly you just want to scream. You slam the drawer, you storm out, because Aries moon doesn't process pain slowly, it reacts fast like a firecracker. And that's Saturn's doing, the pressure to hold it all together, to perform, mature, grow up. But you're wired for instinct, not slow burn. Your negative coping mechanisms include impulsive exits, lashing out at other people, especially if you have that problem of lashing out at other people. You need to be really careful. You need to come out of that as soon as possible. You could start fight just to feel alive. That could happen for Aries moon sign, and that is a very negative trait. But the remedy is also because of Saturn. Saturn is not really a punisher. Saturn rules your 10th house and also your 11th house. But here, Saturn is not going to punish you. Saturn becomes your life coach. He's about discipline, grounding, long term focus. Because remember, Mars gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is a sign of being disciplined, being goal oriented, being steady. So, when life comes at you at full swing, go for a run, punch a pillow, maybe write it down, then show up stronger. Use your Saturnian energy to gain that strength back. You need to embrace the energy of Saturn, not feel that it is restricting you. Fire, remember, needs a container, not a cage. For Taurus moon sign. So for Taurus, you tell yourself, I'm okay, but your playlist has not changed in weeks. You're eating the same comfort food, watching reruns, binge watching. The world moves, but you're not moving, because Taurus moon copes by staying still. Taurus loves to enjoy the best of life, relax, and take a break when life gets really messy. And Mars is your enemy planet, or should I say, the planet that causes stress. Mars demands action. He's the one kicking your soul's door down. And your negative coping could be numbness. There could be procrastination. You're not really up for the action, and there could be an over attachment to comfort zones. And that is what Mars is all about. Mars wants you to get out and start doing something. So, what do you do then when you're overwhelmed by Mars? And that's where Mercury comes in. Mercury is your whispering guide. He tells you, talk about your problems to other people, even if your voice shakes. Write, share, start small. A walk, a friend, a plan. Your stillness can be your strength, but don't let it become your prison. For Gemini, well, Gemini, you've got like 10 tabs open in your browser, one phone in your hand, you're chatting, swiping, multitasking, but you feel scattered. You say, I just need to get this one thing done, but suddenly you're watching a video about penguins. You're totally getting distracted. Then you start texting your best friend, then Googling symptoms that you don't even have. That's Gemini moon. Especially when the world gets overwhelming. You run through your mind like a maze, hoping to think your way out of the chaos, And the more you think, the less you start to feel. Because somewhere underneath all that noise is a silence you're afraid of, you know. And that, my friend, is because of Jupiter. Jupiter is, believe me, he is your stress planet, standing in the background, arms crossed, asking what's the bigger picture? What do you believe in? What matters? But belief feels too slow, too heavy, too real. So you kind of keep flying from one conversation to another, skipping the stillness, until one night even your own thoughts become too loud. And you realize you've been talking in order to avoid listening. And really, that's where the remedy begins. Jupiter is asking you to pause, to breathe, maybe write something, maybe not for others to read, but at least for you to hear your own voice again. So let Jupiter in, not as a preacher, maybe as a guide. Ask him what's the lesson in all this chaos. Remember, your mind is not broken, it just needs a guide. And Gemini Moon, your thoughts can either scatter you or save you. So listen to Jupiter. Don't think that he's your enemy. He is also your savior. If you can let him guide you. Remember, knowledge is kind of neutral, and Jupiter represents knowledge. And the thing about knowledge is that it is in itself neutral, but it is we who choose to either be scared of it or make us feel happy. So it's not the knowledge, it's really us. It has to do with us. And for Cancer, you're always there for everyone else. The friend with tissues, the shoulder to cry on, the cook, the carer, the counselor. You don't just feel emotions, you kind of absorb that emotion. You have that mirror neurons firing when somebody is in anxiety or in agony. Their heartbreak becomes your own, their silence becomes your anxiety, their chaos your responsibility. And at first it feels like love, like purpose, and until one day it doesn't. You find yourself sitting in the kitchen at 2 a.m., the lights are off, your phone is on silent, and you're crying so softly even you cannot hear it, because you've become the thing that you fear the most, invisible. And the reason that you're getting stressed out is because of Rahu. Rahu is your stress planet. Not the kind of chaos that explodes, the kind that dissolves. He blurs the lines between you and everybody else until you forget where you end and they begin. So what do? You overgive, you over apologize, you become the emotional glue for people who never hold you the same way. And what is your negative coping? You're smiling when you're hurting, saying it's okay when it's not. You carry the pain like it's love. So who saves you? Who's your friendly planet? Believe it, it's Mars. Mars arrives. Mars, who's your yoga karaka, and he arrives not to fight other people, but to protect you from whom? From yourself. He says, get up, draw the line, cry if you need to, but stop bleeding in silence. Your healing is not going to be in more giving. It is in choosing yourself unapologetically. So he says, run that bath, say no without explaining. Tell someone I need care too, because Cancer Moon, you are the ocean, but even the ocean needs a moon to rise and rest, and you deserve high tide too. For Leo, well, Leo, you're the star, the storyteller, the one people expect to shine. You walk into a room and eyes find you. You're the warm laugh, the bold idea, the magnetic presence. People say you're so strong, so inspiring, and you smile because you're supposed to, because that's your role, the light. But what they don't see when you get overwhelmed is the night behind your eyes. When no one notices your silence, when the spotlight fades and applause becomes an echo you can't feel anymore, you kind of shrink. And that's because of Ketu. Ketu becomes your stress planet. He doesn't scream, he kind of erases. You feel like you're fading from your own story. So you hide, not out of weakness but out of pride. You can't show the cracks, right? What would they think if the sun had a shadow? Your negative coping would be to seek attention, melodrama, or complete withdrawal. You could also be pretending to be performing. You want to put up appearances when your heart is barely hanging on. You crave recognition, not for your talents, but for your truth. For someone to say, you know what, I see you even when you're not smiling. But here's where Jupiter, your remedy planet, comes in. He reaches out his hand, not with applause, but with wisdom. He says, you're more than their attention, you're more than what you give away. So tell the story of your scars. Laugh not for approval, but for joy. Let your creativity become a mirror, not just a performance. And Jupiter reminds you, you don't need validation, you need meaning. Turn your heartbreak into art, your wounds into wisdom. Don't perform for love. Love yourself enough to be real. That's what matters. That's what people are looking up to you for, as a Leo. And for Virgo, well, you're the one who notices the miscalculation in that paper, or the crooked picture frame, the misplaced commas as well. The slight change in someone's tone, you can guaranteedly find out. You call it awareness, others call it helpful, but deep down, it's actually control. You love control. You like control. Because when your world starts to fall apart, you don't cry. You clean, you organize, you make lists titled how to feel better and never follow them. That's a Virgo moon under pressure. The moon here doesn't want to feel, it wants to solve, it wants to analyze the ache instead of actually hurting. And then the moon itself becomes your stressor, overflowing with emotions you cannot quantify, memories you cannot really file away neatly, anxieties that won't listen to logic. So what happens? Then you tighten the grip, you plan, you micromanage your healing. And what is the worst coping mechanism that you have is overthinking, overworking. You could also become an obsessive cleaner. You want to clean things, you want to make things neat. You could also get into self-blame, self-criticism, burnout, fixing everyone else so you don't have to face your own mess. So, who's going to help you? Which planet is going to help you? The planet that's going to help you is, of course, you knew it. It is Venus. Venus steps in soft, slow, almost inconvenient in her gentleness. She doesn't ask you to solve, she asks you to feel, to sit in the chaos, to let anything be imperfect. It's okay that things are not looking straight up, She whispers, what if rest is productive? What if kindness begins with you? So Virgo moon, you don't have to be flawless to be worthy. You don't have to clean your room to deserve peace. You can cry in a messy kitchen. Remember that. You can break your own rules and still be whole. Let your breath be your checklist. Let love be enough, even when it's not earned. You were not born to fix everything. You were born to feel as well. Take a walk, listen to music, let something be messy, even if it's you, let it go. And then comes in Libra. Libra, you smile when it's tense. You say, well, it's okay, even when it's not. You weigh every word in your mouth before speaking, before saying anything. Because you're afraid that it might be perceived as an offense. Afraid that truth might tip the balance. Because for a Libra moon, conflict is not just uncomfortable, it feels like your world is cracking. So you compromise, you adjust, you hold space, you try to keep everyone happy, even if it leaves you empty, And then Mars barges in, not with kindness, but with confrontation. He makes people sharp, loud, demanding. Suddenly, your calm is not enough. Your charm does not work. The peace you spent years building collapses in a single moment. You're now angry. You're frustrated. You're cursing them. You're shooting their soul because you can't directly confront them. And you could also freeze. That I've seen a lot of Librans freeze when they're confronted. And your negative coping mechanism is suppressed truth, loss of self, withdrawing into fake harmony, saying yes when your soul is actually screaming no, fading into the background just to avoid the sting of friction. But who's going to help you? It's Saturn, your yoga karaka, your remedy planet. He comes not with ease but with truth. He does not offer approval. He offers boundaries. He reminds you that real peace does not come from pleasing everyone. It comes from choosing yourself. So speak even if your voice trembles. Say that something has hurt you if you have to express it that way, in order to get the message across. Say no where you have to. Because every time you abandon yourself to keep the peace, you declare war inside your own heart. Libra moon, your beauty is in your balance, but balance only exists when you are in the equation. You don't have to keep the world together. You just have to stop falling apart to make others feel comfortable. You deserve a life that feels fair to you. And for Scorpio, Scorpio, you feel it before anyone else does. The shift in a friend's tone, the truth hiding behind their smile, the betrayal buried in a casual sentence. Scorpio moon doesn't just sense emotions, it inhales them. But you never show it. Your strength is in your silence. It is in your control. Because if they know how deep it really goes, how fast the sadness turns into rage, how the past still burns inside your bones, they would run away, right? So you become your own vault, a master of secrets. Because Scorpio represents the 8th in the natural zodiac order, and it is about secrets. And then what happens? And then the sun enters. Even if he is your yogakaraka, sun enters, blazing, exposing, spotlighting everything you wanted to bury. That's where the problem starts. And suddenly you feel naked in a world that doesn't know what to do with your darkness or your secrets, And then your negative coping mechanisms start. And I'm not saying that everyone's got this negative coping, but some of them do. And this video is mainly to help those people who are having that negative coping mechanism. And what is that? One is isolation, shutting down, thinking that there are no alternatives to the situation. That is a very bad thing to think of. There's always somebody out there. So you could have trust issues, controlling what you can so you never have to feel what you cannot. You become the storm cloud with no rain. You ache in silence and call it strength when it is actually not strength at all. But then the moon, yes, your friendly planet, comes back not to challenge you but to comfort you. She says, feel it, let it pour, not for them, but for yourself. Write it in a journal, maybe you can share it with somebody, cry in a room with no audience, trust one person, at least just one person. Cry, create, connect with someone who's earned your trust. Because Scorpio Moon, your pain is not too much, your love is not too deep, and your healing, it doesn't come from power, it comes from being vulnerable. You don't have to be the phoenix all the time. Sometimes it's enough to be the ashes that or the dust that settles down and rest. It's okay. Your depth is not a curse. It's your superpower. Only if you know how to use it. And the secret is to feel the emotions but not to drown in that emotion. That's what makes Moon a lot more weaker. Moon is actually debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. It wants comfort when it's actually getting cruelty. So try connecting with somebody who can make you come out of the mess that you're in. Your one buddy who you can trust and reach out to. And for Sagittarius, well, Sagittarius, you laugh when you're hurting. You say it's all good when you're quietly crumbling. You book the trip, change your environment, open 10 tabs, listed new beginnings. Because Sagittarius Moon doesn't sit in pain, it runs. It tells itself there's always something better around the corner. A new idea, a new place, a new version of yourself that won't hurt so much. But then Mercury becomes your stress planet, and that comes in. He doesn't offer freedom, he offers friction, chatter, confusion, too many voices, too many questions, too much noise. You cannot outrun it because now the ache is in your own mind, spinning thoughts instead of forward motion. And what becomes your negative coping? It becomes escapism, spiritual bypassing, turning everything into a joke so no one knows you're broken. So, who's gonna help you? Which planet is your remedy planet? And believe me, you may have thought that this is the last planet that's gonna help you, but really, it is Saturn that can help you. Saturn walks in with his quiet, steady steps. He says, stop, stay, feel, face it. Not every journey needs a passport. Some of them start when you sit still long enough to hear your own truth echo back. Teach what you wish you knew. Let your pain become wisdom, not a ticket out of town. Sagittarius Moon, your freedom is beautiful, but healing doesn't always come from the distance, you know. It doesn't come from traveling and going places all the time, escaping that problem wherever you're placed, wherever you're staying. Sometimes it comes from presence. You don't need to be anywhere else. You just need to come home to yourself. So all you need to do is to sit, learn, and reflect. Learn something that teaches you how to be calm, how to be still, and that which can change you. For Capricorn, well, Capricorn, you hold it all together, always. You carry your pain like a portfolio, structured, compartmentalized, professional. And Capricorn Moon learned early that being vulnerable was inefficient. So you shut it down, smiled at funerals, took care of others while falling apart in private. Of course, the world applauds your strength, but no one sees the cost. That's the moon, your stress planet, begging to be felt in a sign that does not want to feel. So you tighten the grip. You become the calm in everyone else's storm, but inside you're quietly drowning in the flood you refuse to acknowledge. So what becomes your coping mechanism, especially the negative ones, are cold detachment, over responsibility. Telling yourself emotions are for people who don't have things to do. That is such a mean thing to say, Capricorn. And so you keep moving, keep leading until your soul forgets how to feel. And that's when Mercury steps in. handing you a pen and saying, start by writing it down. But it's Venus who actually heals you. She doesn't push, she invites, she shows you how to feel without falling apart. Venus is your yoga karaka. Venus shows how to receive love without making it a big deal, to be beautiful without proving anything. So always remember that being strong does not mean being alone. Let someone in, let your guard down. For Aquarius, you understand everything except yourself. You can explain emotions, decode patterns. You give incredible advice. You're the rock for other people. But when it comes to you, you go blank, not cold. You're just out of reach. As if your feelings belong to someone else. Because Aquarius Moon learned early that emotions were loud, messy, inconvenient. So you turned them into equations. You intellectualized pain until it did not sting anymore, until it became just another concept to study. But then the sun rises, your stress planet, your enemy planet, and suddenly someone needs something from you emotionally to show up, be seen, be vulnerable. The sun demands presence, warmth, raw visibility. But to you, that feels like too much. You'd rather ghost or disappear into your own thoughts or talk about humanity without ever touching yourself. And your negative coping mechanism is about turning heartbreak into theories, emotional dissociation, keeping your own needs buried under logic and distance. So, who's gonna help you out? And your friendly planet is, of course, Venus. She's not impressed by your intellect at all. She wants your softness, your humaneness, your longing. Venus does not ask for perfection, she asks for presence. She whispers, let someone in, let beauty in. Because Aquarius Moon, your brilliance is real, but your feelings are not a weakness. They're what makes your genius mean something. So touch what you've been avoiding. Don't just analyze connection. Experience that connection, even if it's awkward, even if it's terrifying. You don't need to save the world. Just start by saving a seat for yourself in your own heart. And then we have Pisces. You don't break, you kind of melt into music, into someone's arms, into fantasies where no one yells and nothing hurts. You vanish into beauty, into silence, into the hope that may be. If you just love hard enough, the world will soften too. Because Pisces Moon, Pisces never fights emotion. That is the part that is so many people misunderstand about Pisces. Pisces cannot fight emotions. Pisces is all about becoming that emotion. So you carry unspoken pain from places you cannot name. You feel sadness that is really not yours. And sometimes you forget who you are. And that's when Saturn appears, your stress planet. Cold, stern, real. He shows you bills, deadlines, disappointments. He demands form, discipline, boundaries. Things your soul resists like a dream resists an alarm clock. And what do? Then you escape into sleep, into scrolling, into saving people who did not ask to be saved. And your negative coping mechanism is avoidance, codependency, and magical thinking that waits for miracles without moving a muscle. And then comes Mars, your remedy planet. He does not coddle, he commands. He says, dreams are sacred, but if you do not act, they will die waiting. Mars hands you your to-do list. He sharpens your watercolor world with lines and muscle. He teaches you boundaries are holy, anger is cleansing, doing is healing. So get up and start doing something. And that is what should ideally be the right way to cope for Pisces. If you're going to escape out of reality, Saturn is going to bring you back and show you the reality. But then Mars says, Pisces Moon, your heart is an ocean, but even the sea follows a tide. You don't have to stop dreaming, just start walking towards that dream, one step at a time. You are divine, but you're also human. Never forget that. That is the grounding voice of Saturn. You can sidestep Saturn, but you cannot ignore him. He's that silent giant that has to be embraced. So honor both of these planets. And finally, there is no weak moon, no broken sign, only people doing their best with what they feel. So now you know what overwhelms you, how you cope, and how to become stronger. Lean on to that planet which is friendly to you. And if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. Remember, you were not just born to cope, you were born to live. Also subscribe to my channel for more astrological updates. And of course, drop a comment if you have anything to say. Until next time, it's me, VGS, signing off, and I will see you guys again with another new video very soon.